It's the beginning of a new month, so let's go over the top 10 comic book sales on eBay for the month of March 2024. Up next on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Hello, panelologists. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. Before we get started, like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on other social medias, Instagram at Bronzeville_comics, on Whatnot. I do sales every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time under Bronzeville_comics. And there is a link in the description of this video that will get you $10 off your first purchase, and it doesn't have to be with me. Also, in the description of this video, a link to my eBay store, a link to my email, and a link to the website for King Con 5 coming up Saturday, April 6th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. There's a 9 a.m. early bird where I'll be setting up there. It's going to be in northern Jersey at the Park Ridge Marriott in Park Ridge, New Jersey, just minutes from the New York border. So it's going to be a great show. So many people in the northeastern, like greater tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut. Some great vendors are going to be there. It's going to be a great time. If you're anywhere near and you haven't been to King Con, you got to come down to one of these shows. It is a lot of fun, and it's one of the premier, like, small local comic book shows you're going to find. And it's comics. There's not a lot of cosplay or pops or people selling scented candles and turkey jerky, but it is comic books and very comic book heavy. So anyway, enough of that. Let's jump into the top 10 eBay sales for the month of March, and a little bit of an interesting trend. And I'm going to start with some sales that I couldn't verify, and I don't think they're true. This one was listed for $150,000 of The Origin of Super Shamu #1 from Inuit Broadcasting Corporation. For $150,000. I don't think this is real. I don't know. This, like, it lists as the sold price on eBay. I don't know how this happens. And this is a collectible treasures. They are like a real thing. No. I mean, selling, you know, $7 Yogi Bear DVDs. You know, a lot of DVDs. And some comic books, socks, cards. I don't see it. It just makes absolutely no sense to me. And it certainly is a comic book I've never heard of. I mean, is there even a Super Shamu #1? Come on, folks. Is cover price working? It wasn't working a little while ago. Super Shamu #1. I don't even, yeah, I can't. Let me see. Super Shamu 1. Does a value of $200, cover price free, a solvent sniffing promotional giveaway, flip book with half English and half an Inuit. It's from Canada. Again, if this sold for $150,000, I don't know who's buying it. Oh, this keeps haunting me. This book keeps popping up on this heritage. This is a book I want. And that's, I mean, I do want a Batman one. And this book, there's an almost story to this that I will tell someday. You got to tune in. So there's Super Shamu. I don't believe that's real. I'm going to get rid of that tab. And then there's this. Couldn't verify the sale. Amazing Spider-Man #1. And this is the picture. This was and it's listed a couple of times. If I go to the screen with the top sales. Yeah, there's this. It has the green as though it's sold. And then here, this Australian sale, they use a stock photo of a 6.0 signed by Stan Lee. Why do they use a stock photo? And listen, it's listed twice. Both from Australia. It's like one in January, one in March. It's almost like it never left Australia. Why did they use a stock photo? Because the real photo shows that it is a restored signature series. Amazing Spider-Man 1, a 6.0. I'm going to guess just by looking at this part of the picture that it was trimmed. Restoration includes color touch pieces added, tear seals, cover cleaned, reinforced, all edges trimmed. So there's a lot of work done on this book. Yeah, you can't restore it much more than that. I mean, it looks pretty cool, but like, yeah, it looks like there was tape there at one point, but Stan Lee signed it somewhere. I mean, yeah, why does this color, is that a shadow? I don't know. I don't think this book is ever sold. And where's the Stan Lee signature? Wait a minute. Signed by Stan Lee on 11. What am I missing? It was verified. So CGC witness. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. Right by Human Torch's feet there. Right there. So, okay. I don't think this is an actual sale either. So let's move on to the top 10 sales that I was able to verify. I'm going to get rid of this Super Shamu thing. And let's go start with number 10. And it is, a copy of Marvel Spotlight 5 in a CGC 9.4 white pages, Gen 1 CGC label. Not the clearest of pictures. I mean, they didn't even take the poly bag out. It sold for $18,500, and that was the asking price, and that was the sale price. How does that stack up for 9.4s above recent sales? Right? This book went all the way up to at a high of $30,000, $18,500. Last sales, 15, 16.8, 17, 15.6. We're going all the way back to 2022, 18,000 in 2022. And then you know, it started coming down after this sale in March of 2022. And I mean, I don't think this has bounced back that much. I think somebody just maybe overpaid for this a little bit. Again, a hard book to find. So the, yeah, a bit of a bounce back. Now, here's the thing. With these older slabs, especially these Gen 1 slabs, this is a 9.4. Is it possible that somebody thought that they could CPR this, crack, press, and resubmit? And it's almost impossible to read. I can't read that. Is it on the back? To read the cert number. Is that, oh man, especially with this bad picture. Maybe it's in Go Collect. Let's see if they get the cert number. No, they didn't. Let's see if there's a previous, because if we got the grader's notes, it might tell us more information. I am intrigued by this. It looks like it ends in, oh my God, like 0114 something 55004 5004 011. I mean, we can go back a ways on this because it is, yeah, there's not really cert numbers this early on. Try one more. I don't see anything. Okay. So we're going to have a hard time getting the cert number on this. Is this a CPR candidate? I mean, these pictures are really useless. I don't know. Looks a little soft down there from what we can see. Definitely soft up there. Yeah, it would be a huge gamble to say that you could clean and press this above a 9.4. I don't even know what's going on down there. Is that on the case, on the inner well? I don't know. So strong sale. Let's go to number 9 on the list. And number 9 is a copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 1 in a Signature Series 9.0. It is signed and sketched by Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman on the same date, it looks like, off-white to white pages. It sold for an auction for $19,200. 101 bids. Obviously, a book people are interested in. Let's look at a Signature Series 9.0. It also has a sketch. Auction below most of the recent sales. I mean, if we look just in the sales, there are a couple 20,000 plus sales. in 2023 in an $18,100 sale. We can see the trend. It's not that far off the trend. I mean, you had one huge sale in 2020. Again, Signature Series, harder to really get a good handle on exactly what they're worth. But I think that's an appropriate price for this book. And it was an auction. So that was the price that the collectors deemed it to be worth. So I'm going to call not either good for buyer or seller. I think that's just a fair price to pay for this book. Let's go to number 8. And number 8 is a copy of Amazing Fantasy 15 in a 2.0. Definitely rough. Older. Like a 107 start serial number. Created to off-white pages. I would doubt that this is a CPR candidate. This is just somebody that wants the book. They paid, what was the sale price for this? Now, this best offer, it was listed for $22,950 and it sold for $21,750. So they took $1,200 off. Not a huge amount. Where does that fit in recent sales at a 2.0? Let's take a look. If it sold for $21,750, healthy. Best sale in since August. It had dipped a little bit, and I think it dipped a little bit too much, let's say. Obviously it went, comic boom. It went crazy. A 2.0 is a reasonably affordable copy of this book for collectors. It was up about $38,000 at its peak, and now it's down to $21,750. Is it better? Is it great presenting for a 2.0? I don't know. It doesn't appear to have tape, so that's a plus. It's, I guess, an average appearing 2.0. A lot of Marvel chipping on all edges. A piece missing by the 12 cents. But man, if you love Spider-Man and you want an Amazing Fantasy 15, this is an affordable book. It's a book that, relatively speaking, I mean, that is a lot of money. But I would say the seller got a good price for this. Let's go to number 7 on the list. And it's another copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 in a CGC 9.0. And this is signed by Eastman and Laird, but it has a blue label because they wrote it on the interior cover in pen. So a book like this is, and I don't know how CGC will treat the books signed on the interior, which was the common practice for many years, really until books started getting slabbed, because when you had raw books, it did not, I'll use the word mar the cover. And before books got slabbed, you could take it out of its bag and board and open it up and say, okay, there's a Jack Kirby signature. There's a Stan Lee. There's a Eastman Laird. So how does this book look in terms? They had an offer of $25,000. They took 10% off it, and it sold for $23,500. How does that compare to other recent 9.0s? This should be $23,500. It's, you got to go back to 2022 for that kind of sale. 18 here. So I think they got a pretty good price for it. Again, this is a first print, as was the other one. So let's move on to number 6 on the list, and it is a copy of Incredible Hulk #1 in a CGC 4.5 that sold, listed for $37,700. It sold for actually $23,500. Where does a 4.5 rank? Again, it sold for $23,500, in line with the last couple of sales, a little bit below, so I think a good deal. But this was a book, if we look pre-boom, it was $15,000. Sold for $13,000. We're up 10 grand from there. This Hulk title's become popular, I think, because people are looking for Silver Age keys. This is a hard book to find. It was really the second big Marvel key after Fantastic Four. I don't include the first Ant-Man on that list because Ant-Man was never a frontline character, even though he was a member of the Avengers, et cetera, et cetera. His first appearance in Tales to Astonish. And I do that because it wasn't even included in either when Stan Lee put together the trade paperbacks in the 70s that I grew up on of Origins of Marvel Comics and Sons of Origins. Ant-Man was nowhere to be found except in the first Avengers story. So I think the buyer got a pretty decent deal on this, considering it's a few $1,000s below the last couple of sales. And both of those were auctions. Auctions in a softer market tend to go for less than buy it now prices on the whole. But again, it's still, you know, this book is above where it was pre-comic boom. I think one of the things for Silver Age collectors is that this Hulk 1 through 6 set is attainable, right? If you want Fantastic Four 1 and you're going to collect a run, you probably want the entire Kirby run. You got to collect, you know, 100 books plus annuals, a lot of keys in there. This is a contained set, and there are a lot of Hulk fans out there for sure. So anyway, let's move on to number 5 on the list. And it's Amazing Fantasy 15 in a CGC 2.5 off-white pages, a decent looking copy. They were asking $26,995, and it sold for that price, full asking price. Marvel chipping, a piece missing down here, which really hurts the grade. But the thing I like about it is the image itself is clean, right? The Spider-Man figure is really untouched, and so is the other guy that he's carrying. I think that really makes this a good presenting book. You can live with this if the center of the book looks good, and it's also a pretty good color strike. So I think this is a nice presenting copy for the grade. And at what do we say? Full asking price of $26,995. So let's say $27,000. We look at recent 2.5s, and that's a healthy sale. More recent sales: 21.6, 23.7, 24, 24, 23, 24, 21. And this is the best sale in over a year. So, I mean, this book has been pretty level for months after coming down from its peak at $45,000. So it had, you know, it's come down quite a bit, but it's stabilized, and it's such an in-demand book, and it will always be an in-demand book because of the popularity of the character and its importance in comic book and pop culture history. I don't see it really having much of a dip again. If we look where it was, let's say pre-boom, well, you know, man, it was only like a $14,000 book, and now it's more than $10,000 more than that. I don't think that this is going to go much lower, to be honest with you. And a 2.5 is an entry-level copy that collectors who scrimp and save their pennies and trade up. This is kind of the grade that you know, a collector on a bit of a budget can find themselves in. Let's go to number 4. And number 4 on the list, I had a tough time confirming this. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 1 in a CGC 6.5 off-white to white pages. They were asking $30,000, and they got $27,000, so 10% off. A nice copy at 6.5. Again, not the best picture, and I'm not sure there's like a rainbow up here. I think that's just, there's a little bit of chipping up here. But again, the main image, very solid looking. Let's look at the back cover. The back cover actually looks quite nice. We have to go to GP analysis for this one, and we can see the last sale, the year was in January for $21,600. If we go last year, average sale, well, it ranged from $17,000 to $34,000. Quite a discrepancy there. Somebody got a really good deal in December. Merry Christmas to you, my friend. $27,000, I still think a good deal, even though it's up over the last sale in January. I think that was a good deal. And again, we look at the trend line. It was averaging $22,000 in 2019. Had a little bit of a dip right before everything shut down and then jumped up all the way up to 38.4. Let's go to number 3 on the list. And it's a copy of Fantastic Four #1 in a CGC 5.5 off-white to white pages. They were asking $33,333, and they got also $27,000 for this. Nice 5.5 is a nice grade in this book. Again, the first Marvel Silver Age superhero comic. Staples tight and on the back, which means that the spine on the front doesn't really have a reader's crease. There is some stress there, but you know, overall a nice book. Was this book cleaned and pressed? It's hard to say. I don't know if I'm seeing. I guess they're seeing some reflections. This looks like it certainly could. This looks like it can be cleaned, does it? Let me know in the comments what you think. Can this book be cleaned? So let's look at price for a 5.5. This one sold for $27,000. That's below all recent sales, right? Obviously, 2022 it was crazy. I think they got a good deal, #1, and I think this book can be improved. You know, and this is just in the cleaning, you know. Again, it's hard to tell with the light, but it looks to me like there's some pressable defects on there. So let's look at the cert number. 427. Let me write this down. 427. I want to look at the grader's notes. 237-1003. Now let's just go to CGC. Yeah, certainly. Okay. 427-237-1003. There it is. And creasing to cover, light staining to cover, spine stress lines to cover. Again, it's recent. We have the scans. The scans look a little bit cleaner. But again, is that aging of the paper and maybe some slight foxing? Or can that be cleaned up? I don't know. Nice looking book, nonetheless. I mean, it does have creases on it, but got a little bit of a stain up there. Let's look at the back cover. The back cover is where I think I saw a little bit more of the creasing. We can certainly see some dirt. I mean, look here. Look here. I don't think that's staining. That is staining. Could that be cleaned up and get a bump? I don't know because I didn't buy the book. Let's go to #2 on the list, and it is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man #14 in a CGC 9.4 white pages. First appearance of the Green Goblin. What a gorgeous book. What a gorgeous book. 9.4 for first Green Goblin. This is definitely something for people who love books in high grade. Doesn't sell off in a 9.4, right? So they were asking on this $37.5, and it sold. They accepted an offer for $27.5. So compared to the more recent sale back in November, $25,230, but it did sell for $38,614. Actually, the very same copy. So somebody, and they accepted a best offer. They wanted an auction. They paid $38,000 for it, right? And then they sold it on eBay, and they accepted a best offer for $11,115 below that. Plus, they paid CGC sellers fees. Woo! That's the thing. You can see a lot of the certification numbers now popping up on Go Collect, and that is a good tool to use. the exact same copy, right? Just not even, what, 8 months later? That is not a good business model. They paid too much for it and probably sold it for too little. So hopefully the new owner is happy with it, because I think they got a nice deal. Let's go to the number one book on the list for March of 2024. And it is a copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles first print, 9.4 white pages, that sold for the full asking price of $28,499. Where does this sit with other 9.4s? Well, not a lot of them. All right, $28,499. That's about the same as it sold in April, down from $30,000 and $40,000 prices. So a little bit of an uptick for the book. Fairish price. Yeah. This is, obviously it's a magazine size holder. I think that was a push. I think neither, the seller didn't make out, the buyer didn't get a great deal. I think it was more or less fair. So those are the top 10 books for the month of March. Let me know what you think of those books in the comments below. I really appreciate you all stopping by. And if you're in the area, I hope to see you at King Con on Saturday. Come up and say hello. In the meantime, you can take a look at a couple of my other videos here. And this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.